little horse there. Let me check. Everybody, this is Lawrence. All right, I'm going to check my Instagram family. Hang on, because we're not going live over there. Hang on. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let's try one more time. Lawrence, you got any jokes? Here we go.
Nothing clean.
Well,
everything's dirty.
Well, you know, this is the market that we're in, and we're live on Instagram. Woohoo! Hang on one second. Sorry. All right, here we go. All right, we are set, better than ever. I mean, a few little technical things here and there, but why would it be any less when you're on Why Not with Lisa? Because it's just fun.
Why not?
Why not? What else are we going to be doing? Austin! Hello! Joe! Hi. So we are live today. I'm, as I always say, super excited about my show because today we're live at Imperial, which is one of the newest restaurants downtown Winter Park. And for those of you that know Washburn Imports, you're going to know that the furniture and the feel that you're going to get, that you would go there and go shopping. Now we brought it inside to have a glass of wine, have amazing beers, and an amazing menu. So we're going to talk to I think Drew's going to join us later on to say hi, because what is exciting, as I told you all, every week I'm going to try to introduce you to someone that's helping me get ready for the aisle. That is literally almost 2 months exactly.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong song.
That's the wrong song. Problem, but that's okay. It's close. So
it's been a while since I've been to a wedding.
Well, you're coming, so don't worry.
I'm coming.
All right. Here we go. So we are going to introduce you. Last week I was at the Florist. I introduced you to Deb at Atmosphere Flowers. We also introduced you to, oh my gosh, who else did? I can't remember. There was one other person that we introduced you to last week. The week's a blur. I'm sorry. The week is a total blur, and it's going to get blurrier as we get close to the day of the wedding, as well as in this real estate market.
Fun.
Yay! So I want to just give you really quick as to what we are doing today. We are going to talk about the market. Right not, right? We could talk about my wedding all day, but I'd bore half of you, or you'd all want to be invited because it's going to be so much fun. So needless to say, what we're going to do is we all have a ton of questions. I get them every day, as well as Lawrence.
Yep.
In regards to what is the market going to do? What about the foreclosures? When's the bubble going to burst? Is the bubble going to burst? Are we going to be like 2008 again? And that's a lot of questions.
It is. And it's a lot of scary questions, too.
It is. And that's why you're here.
Yes.
So I'll bring the smiles and he'll bring the scary information. No, there's no scary information, I promise. So I've known Lawrence, as most of you know, gosh, well over a long time, let's just say.
Yes.
We were both this tall.
We were very young when we got into the business, though.
Yes, we were.
Very young.
Just over 18, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with it. We can. It's my show. So with that said, he's a wealth of information. I've known him a long time. And what I love about Lawrence is he's going to give it to you straight. He's got an amazing team that will help you understand. And this is the thing I want you all to know that as you're watching today, you may not be looking to buy a house today. You may not be looking to buy your investment today. But in the back of your mind, you got questions and you're not sure. That's where all of this comes into play, you guys, is that we are a wealth. Well, we hope to be a wealth of information. But if we don't know the answers, we're going to find them for you. So those questions you have, we can maybe assist with answering and put you in the right direction of either purchasing now, later, whatever it may be. Or maybe it's even about the house you're living in now and you just don't know the whole forbearance or mortgage or whatever it may be. This is why he's here.
Yep.
So let's dive right in, because I could not believe a couple of the numbers that I shared with you earlier in regards to where Orlando is right now and the whole state as to people migrating here. Orlando's one of the top 10 cities in the U.S. We have 4 cities in the state of Florida where people are migrating to. That's a lot. Yeah.
Well, it's a great area, right?
It is.
It's a great state. And we're seeing people from, I guess, states that aren't so attractive to live right now.
Yep.
And they want to come, they want to live their lives, they want to, get back to work,
Yep.
they want to be active, and Florida hits all of those. So
Totally does. I mean, look at the weather today. So you definitely can stay active. And those key cities or states is New York, California, Chicago, Illinois specifically. Did I say California?
yes,
Okay, good. All right. Woo! See? As
big
my-
state. You can say it twice.
Okay, I can say it, I can say it twice. It's like Texas. It's a big state. Everything's big there, I hear. So, But with that said, there's a lot happening, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in too, with not having enough housing and enough inventory. Because just last week I polled, we had 3 times as many pending as what we did inventory, just
Yeah.
for this month, which is ridiculous numbers. So it has to keep you busy.
Yeah. Well, I heard there was a stat going around that there are now more. There's more. No, there's less houses for sale than there are realtors in the country.
Wow.
So it's gotten pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I can tell you the competition. This market. I've talked to realtors that have been doing real estate for 30 years, and they've never seen anything like this market right now.
It's crazy.
I mean, it is really, truly a crazy time to be buying or selling.
Yep, it is. I mean, we both were in the market when 2008 hit, when it was busy like this, and then it crashed. Because and how I always, at that time, I owned a title company, so I was on the other end, always 30 days out of all the agents. But I would call my friends, doctors on call, because as soon as the house got listed, it was gone. Yeah. And that's kind of like where we're at right now. I mean, it is crazy. I had a client today, which we're working with. We saw a house this morning, and by 11:30 when I got home to write a contract, it was pending already. I'm like, you just went on the market. Give me a minute to write a contract.
Yeah.
And how are you working with the clients that are, you're getting clients probably upset. They're like, I just put an offer in. This is the 3rd contract I've sent you over.
Right.
What are you hearing and seeing as well?
Well, I think there's a lot of education that needs to go into this market today. Mm-hmm. We have to inform our clients about what their expectations should be going into buying. We have this conversation with our clients, and I'm sure you do as well. It's not easy. It's not easy to be a buyer. No. So the number one most important thing we tell them is to get properly pre-approved. Yes. Like get super strongly pre-approved. Today, more than ever, I'm hearing time and time again that who you're pre-approved by makes all the difference in the world.
It does.
So if you've got multiple offers coming in, the seller and the seller's agents are going to set those offers down, and they're going to go one by one.
Yep.
And they're going to compare them. And in a lot of cases, it might not be that big of a difference on what the offer and price is, but rather the little things in the contract, like who you got pre-approved by.
Huge. It is, especially if it's someone local or out of state. And for anybody that is living out of state watching this show and you don't know a local lender, or you may have your perfect lender right by where you live, that's awesome. But just know your local lenders here, know the whole scope of homeowners associations. We know the things that we have to work with the title company, because each state's a little different. And I had a client that used an out-of-state lender, and this out-of-state lender, who was out of Missouri, had no idea of the things and items that needed to go on the HUD. So we missed $1,000, $2,000 worth of stuff that should have been on the HUD, which, my buyer was not happy with having to eat, but the lender didn't know, and he didn't talk to the title company, and here we are.
Yep.
So it's really, really important. Having someone like you you've been in the business so many years, an agent will probably recognize not you or the name of your company.
Right.
To be like, oh, I know the mortgage firm. Oh, I know Lawrence Heisler, which I had that happen with the deal with you. The one agent, she goes, I know Lawrence. Okay, let's do this deal together. I'm like,
cool.
Yay.
Yeah, and I'll actually call the listing agents. If I know that an offer is going in and it's a multiple offer situation, I'm going to call the listing agent. I'm going to tell them how incredibly strong the clients are.
Right.
I'm going to tell them that they were pre-underwritten, meaning we have already nailed down their income and assets.
Yep.
And then I'm also going to tell them that we will close whatever that closing date is.
Right.
Even if it's inside of 30 days. We close one in 2 weeks. like 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh
close
my
to
gosh.
2 weeks.
That's nuts.
So I'm proud to say that
2
because not a lot of lenders are doing that right now. And,
No.
and that can really, really make a big difference
Huge
in
difference.
this market today. You got to come in like
Strong.
super strong. And there's no such thing as negotiating today. It's the opposite of negotiating.
I am so glad you said that because so many buyers will be like, okay, it's listed for 235. Can I go in at 225? No. No. How many times can I say no in a different language? No, no, no. So in regards to that, you have to know that if I tell you no, it's because I mean no. And there is no getting around it because if you want this house and you know you want this house and you've been through your lender, you're ready to go, we're going to make as little things and wants and needs to be the strongest one there. And that means increasing escrow amounts. That means, I mean, this is one thing that's popped up. Someone asked me about an appraisal contingency.
Yeah.
When we write a contract, do they need it?
I mean, it's up to them. It depends on how much they're willing to pay above the sales price.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of pre-negotiating going on right now. So in other words, the listing agent and the buyer's agent will get together and they'll say, okay, what's going to happen if,
Right.
and in a lot of cases, what's working is the buyer will agree to pay more than what the contract price is.
Right.
However, if the appraisal comes in at the agreed upon or the original sales price,
Right.
then if the appraisal comes in at that, the seller will agree to drop it back down.
Got it.
So it's almost a little bit of a gamble on both sides.
Right.
But if the appraisal comes in at the higher amount that they agree to pay,
Right.
then the buyer agrees to pay it at that higher amount. So little things like that
Yeah.
can make a difference. I'm even seeing now, and I've never seen this before, I'm seeing buyers paying seller closing costs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the reason behind this is they can, instead of raising the sales price up to where they know it's not going to appraise,
Yep.
they can keep the sales price closer to what they feel it's going to appraise for. And then the buyer just pays the seller's
Right.
closing costs. It's a very ingenious way of
Right.
making the deal work.
I've even like negotiated with some of these contracts that we utilize my title company
Mhm.
because I have a good relationship with them. You know who you are, known as title. Shh. So with that said, I'll negotiate using them as a buyer's agent. And because of my relationship, I'm able to negotiate a few here's and there's, and then we'll pick up some of the seller's closing costs to alleviate and give them a higher net for picking my contract over somebody else's.
Yeah.
And that's the name of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like whatever it takes today. You want a house, just be willing to come in super
Right.
strong. I mean, here's the thing that I want to point out, Lisa. If you're buying a house, in most likelihood, you're buying that house to live in it and enjoy that house for
Right.
years and years and years to come.
Right.
So even if you're paying more than what the appraised value is,
Right.
it doesn't mean that you're getting ripped off. You're looking at a very
Yes.
long-term investment. And if you have the mindset and you look at real estate as a long-term investment,
Mhm.
you will always, always, always be successful.
See, and I'm so glad you said that because so many people, like you said, are either buying the home because they're going to live in it, and you know you're going to live in it more than 3 to 5 years. I mean, let's just really be honest. We all say we're going to live in it 3 to 5 years and ends up being 10 years. Over that lifespan of you living in there, if let's say you pay $5,000 over the appraisal or 10, you're going to make that money back unless you're in a really bad area, which we're going to direct you to good areas, A+ schools, things that are up and coming. And as an investor, your bottom line is that you're going to have that property for a very long time if it's making money as a short-term rental or a buy and hold.
Right.
So you should think, like you said, this is an investment long-term. Don't be afraid to go a little over because you're not
Sure.
getting ripped off.
Well, and I'll point out a couple other things too. If you purchase a house and you live in a house,
Mhm.
you have incredible tax benefits that you don't have rented.
Absolutely.
So those tax benefits can make a difference. It could be potentially thousands of dollars less that you have to pay in tax
Mhm.
to the IRS every year.
Right.
Another thing to think about too is, let's say you decide that you don't want to pay more for a house. You don't want to pay that extra $10,000.
Right.
Okay. Every month that you're renting, you're
Oh,
wasting whatever it
money.
is that rent amount is.
Yes.
Let's say $1,500. Well, in this market, as tight as it is, it might take you 6 months to find a house, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
So by the time you add up how much you just wasted in monthly rental, you may as well have bought the house and paid extra for it.
That's exactly it. And that, if you're renting out there, you got to think about this. It's exactly what Lauren said. You're paying $1,500 a month rent. And with the interest rates and way things are, we even talked about this, 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, how people are able to afford $20,000, $50,000 more than they would have over a year ago because the rates are so good right now compared to what they were. So think about that as your mortgage, your rent versus your mortgage. Your mortgage may be $1,200 and your rent may be $1,500.
Well,
You just never know.
Here's a good statistic for you.
Okay.
So with the market rates where they're at now,
Uh-huh.
if you had bought a house in 2015,
Okay.
you would have paid $40,000 more and had the same payment you would today.
Oh,
So that's how big of a difference just the interest rates are making. So basically, you could buy a house for $40,000 more
Yes.
today and have the same payment that you would have bought buying that house 4 years ago or 6 years ago for
and that's a big
less.
difference,
So-
especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But buying a house at, let's say, 225 to maybe 250 or 260. When you pull up those in the MLS, that's a huge difference in a house you can get and an area you can get. So that's a big bonus.
Yeah, and I get asked a lot, what's rates going to do? What's rates going to do? All right, so I mean, we've enjoyed the lowest rates in the history of mortgages.
Yep.
For a good probably year and a half, 2 year run. Now.
Right.
And they're still within about 0.3% of the lowest rates ever offered.
They're still really, I mean, they're still anything under 5. You should be still golden.
Right now on a 30-year fix with no points, we're right around 3.125.
Get out. That's
Yep.
still amazing.
15 years going to run you close to 2.5. So, I mean, now what's going to happen with rates? So
Yeah.
here's our biggest enemy of interest rates is inflation.
Okay.
Okay. And things that are happening in the economy, like even like the CARES Act, things that
Yes.
where the government's borrowing money. I mean, basically, we've got a big inflationary concern going on right now. And
Right.
inflation is the number one enemy to interest rates.
Okay.
So the analysts are saying that we're going to start to see inflation increase,
Okay.
which means interest rates will definitely go up. Okay. Now, how much are they going to go up? I'm hearing maybe the high 3s, the low 4s. So again, historically speaking, like crazy.
Absolutely.
If you're on the fence thinking about buying
Right.
or refinancing, get off the fence, because in the next 2 to 3 months, we're seeing rates are going to probably go up to about 3.5 to 3.75. And these are like the major, like Barry Habib and guys that are the major
Right.
predictors of what the market is going to do are all saying the same thing.
Well,
So-
and as we come up, so we're end of April, and you and I have been doing this long enough that we know right about now, pre-COVID, pre all of this, come May, June, July, those were our crazy months because people were moving, relocating to different school zones, different areas, coming from up north, down here. So it's already been traditionally busy, but now pack in low inventory, rates may be going up. So if you're a buyer, you need to be thinking about all of this. I mean, and just remember, yes, Lawrence says 2 weeks to close, but in order for us to find a house, it may take us 2 weeks to find a house or a month to find a house because the market is so crazy. So if you're in a rental situation and you've got 45 days to get out, you better be calling us like today. You better be calling because that is going to be real stressful to find a house and close that quickly. It's one of those things. And even with the investments right now, everything is just crazy.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I get asked a lot right now too is about what's going to happen with the market. Is the market
Yes.
going to crash, right?
When's the bubble going to pop?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen prices go up incredibly, right? And
Yep.
Can I read a couple of my stats here?
Absolutely.
All right, so
And we love statistics on here.
So Google searches asking the question, when is the housing market going to crash, has increased 2,450% recently.
Not just thousand, just normal. It's percent.
2,450%. So that's a lot of people asking Google what's going to happen with the market crash. Some of the stats that I wrote down here, and I know you got stats too. The median price of homes has risen to $329,000. Okay, that's the highest on record.
Yep.
And 17.2% rise from March of last year.
Right.
So we're 17.2% appreciation, basically, or the median price of homes.
Right.
So now lumber prices, they've increased 300% since the pandemic began.
And that's why our builders are so far behind. They get to the point and they put the slab down. Like my brother who's over at Miranda Homes, they cannot get trusses in fast enough to build. So that's why you're looking at 8-9 months to build out, if not 12 months with some of your builders because of this.
Yeah.
It's
So
the big thing.
So that's adding $24,000 to the price of a home, the average home. So we're going to go through some of the bad things, and then I'm going to address this because there's some good silver lining to this. Average time to sell a home is 18 days.
Yes.
Half of the homes sell in a week.
Yes.
There's 28% fewer homes for sale than there was a year ago. And this is equating to a 2.1 month supply or inventory of homes out there. So these are all the reasons why people are wanting to know, are we going to crash? Right? Well, I got some good news.
Okay, I'm going to drink to that. Here we go. Good news.
So here's the good news. We're not going to crash. And I'll tell you why. And I can confidently say this, not only because I study this a lot, but because I study people who study this a lot.
It's this whole sphere.
It's everybody saying the same thing, guys.
Right.
There's a huge difference. So let's go back to 2008.
Okay. Yes.
The reason why the market crashed in 2008 is because there was a lot of people buying homes that didn't really qualify to buy those homes.
Yes.
Okay. They were what we called speculative buyers, right?
Yes.
They were buyers and flippers, buy and flip, right?
Yep.
Those are no longer around. So I'm going to give you two good reasons why the market won't crash.
Okay.
Okay. Number one is tougher underwriting guidelines.
That was in my notes.
Okay.
Absolutely know that one.
So if those of you that are listening that have actually gone through buying a house in the last 2 to 3 years, I'm sure you realize how tough it is to get a home mortgage. I mean, I'm in this business, guys, so I see it every single day, and it's not a lot of fun, right?
No.
We ask you for every single piece of paperwork that you have in your house, and then we come back and ask you for a few more things.
And and it may be, now, this is what a lot of buyers in the end, and Lawrence will say, and I will calm them down when they ask me, why are they asking me for the same stuff again? Didn't I just give that to them? Why are they rechecking if I'm employed 2 days before I close? Well, let's just say we're in a market where you could lose your job at any time due to COVID back then. You know, I mean, hours were lost, jobs were lost. People were saying, hey, are you going to take this or that? So you have to check just to make sure. I mean, not saying you're lying, but just got to make sure.
Yeah. So
we can't have the market crash again.
So that's what my great agents like you tell the clients. Well, what is there anything that you can't get then, right? Is there anything that you're having a problem with? Just call Lawrence and he'll walk you through it.
Be honest.
That's all, right? Like I get that same frustration all the time, and I understand it. It's not fun, but you got to dig in because listen, guys, this is the reason why the market's not going to crash today. Yes. Because of what we're asking you for. Okay.
Yes, it's exactly it. I
mean,
mean,
everybody who buys a home today qualifies to buy the home, and they're going to be able to afford even some rough times. You know, this is why we look at reserves. We look at payment shock. We look at all these things to make sure that, hey, if somebody loses a job for a while, can they still hold on to that house?
Yep.
Okay. So that's number one is the lending guideline. Number two is simple supply and demand. Okay.
Got it.
The biggest difference between this market we're in now and 2008 is in 2008, we had a glutton of inventory.
Yes, we did.
Okay. We had builders building houses quicker than they could sell them.
Yes.
Right. And people were buying second, third homes, fourth
all
homes,
in one subdivision.
all in the same subdivision, not planning to ever live in that home. Okay.
Yep.
This is the opposite of that, right?
Right. Totally.
We've got a tiny inventory and we've got a huge amount of buyers, people wanting to buy. So as long as that market is in play, there's not going to be a crash.
Right.
There's market fluctuations, okay?
Right.
Supply and demand. So what's going to happen? Hopefully, we can start building more homes.
Yep.
Hopefully, the prices of lumber will go down.
Yes.
And builders can get back to building more homes. And these buyers who are looking to buy can get put into these homes and balance out the supply and demand.
Yeah.
Then what we'll see is prices start to kind of flatten, right? So we're going to see if we start to get more buyers than there are, if we start to get more inventory than there is buyers, then guess what happens to the prices?
Yes.
It might go down a little bit, right?
We're trying to get it separate because everybody's like, well, I'm going to wait till it flattens out a little bit. I'm going to wait till this. And because as you know, a lot of your buyers, they got discouraged when they got outbid 1, 2, 3 times. And it's either because someone has cash or they're not afraid to go above and beyond the appraisal price. Bottom line.
Right.
That's really it. Or they would say, oh, the house isn't worth it. It's not going to appraise. Well, then let's take that gamble to how bad you wanted it. Let's see if it does appraise. Let's run with it.
So I'll just give you a couple more quick stats to put things into perspective.
Good.
Every $10,000 increase that you pay per house with today's interest rates equates to about $45 a month more.
So every $10,000 equals $45 more on your mortgage.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, every 8% on the interest rate that increases on the average house today is going to be about a $25 change or increase in your payment. Okay.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. But the reason I point this out is with interest rates being where they're at right now.
Right.
If you're thinking about buying, but you want to wait
right.
because you think that maybe the price of houses might go down, well, you're taking a risk that interest rates might go up. And we're not talking about an eighth or a quarter. They're looking at going up about a half a point.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at a couple $100 potentially increase in your monthly payment.
Yeah.
Whereas paying the extra $10,000 now for a house is only going to be about $45 a month. And I always tell my clients, I said, do this. Look at your bank statement and see if there's $45 extra a month that you could go do without.
I pretty much is. It'd be one less Starbucks, one less drive-through, one less Chick-fil-A, whatever.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty much it. And I know I have a lot of buyers, especially some of the ones up north who got a little discouraged in regards to the prices keep going up, or they saw a house in December through a builder and now it's $20,000 more. But just imagine if you would have bought it in December, you would have had $20,000 in equity.
Yeah.
So you're gambling every time you take that risk. And like you said, what's $45 or a couple $100?
Yep. And the other thing too, I'll point out, because I love talking about figures, is if whatever you're paying in rent, for the average person, take about 25% off of that.
Okay.
And that's the amount. That's the mortgage payment. Hold on. Let me rephrase this. Add about 25% to that rent payment, and whatever that mortgage payment is will dollar for dollar end up being the same for you after your tax benefits of buying a house. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're paying $1,500 a month in rent,
right,
you could go up to around $1,700 or $1,800 a month in a mortgage, and by the time you get the tax benefit of the interest and the taxes that you pay every year, it will dollar for dollar be the same amount out of your bank account every single year. So I get clients a lot of times that are like, well, my budget is what I'm paying rent right now. Well, I mean, that's great, but just know that if you can qualify and you can go up higher,
right,
that's going to give yourself a little bit more room.
It sounds scary, but like you said, when you do dollar for dollar and balance it all out with everything, it ends up being about the same.
It is.
So,
yeah. And it's hard for people to understand it if you don't own a home.
Right.
But I always love to put it down on a piece of paper, show it to my clients so they can understand exactly how that's going to affect their finances. That's what you're good at. You're good at like explaining. That's why I tell people about you, is that you literally aren't just going to like call them up, say, give me your whole life history, give me your taxes and tell me what you make. It's like, let me know about you. Let me know what situation we're in, where we're going, what are you trying to do? It's like this whole interview process. Mm-hmm. So that way, when they start sending you their whole life history, their blood type, they're not too afraid of you. I call it telling the story. So it's super important for me to get to know my clients.
Right.
And not only where they're at today, you know, I mean, we're going to look at what they make and we're going to look at how much they have in the bank, but I also want to go backwards and I want to see kind of where they came from to
Right.
get there. Everybody's got their story and their story is different. And sometimes people have had things that have happened, right?
Right.
I always say life happens, right?
It does.
And so whatever that is, if I'm able to capture that and understand it and explain it properly
Right.
to underwriting, this is the difference between somebody's loan getting approved and not getting approved.
Yep.
Underwriting looks at like figures, they look at credit scores.
Yep.
They're looking at but they're not necessarily looking at the story. And so if I don't lead them down the right path,
Right.
they're going to make their own judgment on that client. And more times than not, they're going to be conservative and not be favorable for them. So
No.
that's why I ask a lot of questions.
That's
That's why
okay.
I like to dig in and find out about my clients, because it can be the difference between them getting that house and not getting
it. Well, here's a question. So we're in a restaurant. We're in Imperial again. We're live from Winter Park. What if you are a waiter, a waitress? You're 1099. You don't do a normal W-2. How do we work with those type of clients, and how do we get them in the right situation to owning a home?
Well, I always tell my clients.
Ah, I must stump you that one.
I always tell my clients to prepare. The best way to prepare to buy a home is, number one, start claiming your income, right? So one of the biggest pitfalls that I see with people that are in the hospitality industry is that they get paid mostly cash.
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot of them don't report a lot of that cash.
Yep.
So when we get their tax returns, it doesn't look like they make much money at all.
And they think they make 75, 100,000, and it says on the paper, I only make 30.
Correct. And that's what underwriting is going to go off of.
Right.
Okay? The days of these crazy loans where we could just, state the income and
Right.
state the assets are gone. So now we have to verify it, right?
Right.
So advice number one is, if you want to buy a house, start now. Like, even if it's a year from now or 2 years from now, I can look at where you were at financially and what you filed,
Right.
and then I can give you good advice on what to file next year. Because everybody knows that if you're in a cash business or
Yeah.
you're self-employed, you've got the ability, you got a lot of wiggle room in what you can report and
Exactly.
what you can write off as expenses.
That's exactly it.
Right? So sometimes you got to bite the bullet and you got to pay some taxes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is we're looking at taxable income
it is.
to qualify.
No, and I had someone say the other day, well, in this situation in particular, and they said, well, I'm just going to do it this way, and then when I purchase my home, I'm going to maybe redo. I think there's a form that you can do. with
Like an amendment?
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh. Haven't had another glass of wine. So yes, thank you. Amendment.
Thinking about that wedding. I know, I get it.
Yeah. Yay! We're almost there. Between Ava's birthday and the wedding. Woo! We got this.
You got it.
I got this.
You
I
got it,
got
girl.
this. I got this. So it is, in this market, you so have to take advantage of this. I mean, and if you are a seller, just know that you as a seller, and I've said this so many times, you got to be ready, because my listings personally have maybe lasted 5 days at the most, and we're getting 27, 14. We're getting showings like right out of the gate, especially in that price point of 350 and under. They're going fast. So as a seller, you got to know that this process, like Lauren said, it may only take 18 days, but are you ready? Are you ready to move? Have you found your house? Have you started packing? It's not going to take, hopefully, we'll see what, depending on the market and the price point and everything else that goes into factor it could be very, very quickly. So you've got to be ready as a seller, and also know that a lot of us out there are still taking all the precautions to showing your home, listing your home, and doing whatever we can to make you and your family safe. For those that still have, the aspects of everything with the pandemic and everything, we're all doing what we need to do necessary. So don't stress about any of that. But we need houses. So if you're a seller, call me up. Let's put it on the market. We need them.
Can I talk about roofs?
I would love you to talk about roofs, because right now I've gotten 2 or 3 questions in the past week about insurance And I had actually a client out of Arizona said, I heard insurance is going to go up through the roof in Florida. And why?
There's a huge battle going on right now.
I know.
Huge.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I'll kind of put it into a nutshell for you guys.
Okay.
There's a lot of roofers that are basically making claims against insurance companies for roof damage that they're claiming was caused by storm damage, right? Which should be covered by insurance.
Right.
The insurance companies are sending their adjusters out, and they're saying, no, this isn't storm damage. This is an 18-year-old roof, right?
Right.
So they're saying we're not going to cover it. Well, then they end up getting into a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay. This can drag on for years.
Yes.
Right. And then they're either settling or, there's no good results. And this is happening like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of times.
Right.
So the insurance companies are starting to be very selective on what they're going to insure, because they don't want this to happen time and time again.
Right.
And 99% of this is the roof. No, 100% of it is the roof.
Right.
So if you are a seller and you're going to sell, and your roof is, let's say, over 15 years old,
right,
you probably want to think about maybe getting the roof replaced before you put the house on the market.
That's a good point.
Because the buyers are going to have a very difficult time of getting insurance. And if they can't get insurance, unless they're a cash buyer, that's
right.
the only exception. Cash buyers can insure a house or not insure. It's up to them.
Exactly. Yes.
But if they're getting a mortgage, they have to carry homeowners insurance.
Right.
And if they can't get homeowners insurance, then the deal's dead.
And you do not want that, because then what will end up happening as an agent, I would come back to you and say, your roof is 20 years old. There's this and that, and my clients can't get insurance. So now I need you to take a less price for your home. Are you willing to do that? Or they don't sell, or they don't buy it. There's all of that plays into that effect there.
Yeah, I think you got to be, this market is creating so much like craziness, and I'm seeing it. I'm sure you are too, seeing it going almost a little overboard with sellers' expectations, right?
Oh, I had a few.
Yeah, so everybody's like, oh my God, I'll sell my house for $1 million, and they'll bid it up to 1.5 million.
That's it. I had a client call me, and she's like, what can I list my house for? And I said, oh, you could probably list it for like, 275, 278. And she goes, well, I thought I could list it for more than that. And I go, but you could, but will it appraise? And would you really want to have that battle that we get all the way to the table and they don't get financing? You got to put it back on the market. Wouldn't you rather be safe and really know what your house is valued at?
Yeah. I mean you got to think about what would happen if the deal falls through.
Yeah.
And it's never good, right? And I've seen deals that have gone on for months and months. I've seen where deals fall apart and sellers got to put it back on the market. And every month they're carrying that property. They got the carrying costs with it. It's costing them more and more money.
Absolutely.
So hey, it's a great time to sell, but you got to listen to the professional, the one that knows what to put that price at,
right,
and go with it. And hey, if you get a bid higher and somebody doesn't have an appraisal contingency, then good for you.
Go for it. I mean, that's the thing. List it right, list it properly, list it to sell. And if the bidding war takes place, awesome. We've got a bidding war. But then also the aspects, because I had this happen with one of my listings where the bidding war started and we got up to really an unrealistic price that I knew it wasn't going to appraise for. I just knew. So I called my seller, and then I also called the listing agent who was just going boom, 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 because they had an escalation clause, which is very popular now. And so I called my listing agent, told him what was happening. I called my seller, told him what's happening, called the listing agent and said, okay, if I accept your offer, are you going to pay over exactly what you're telling me, the appraisal value, like what we were just talking about? Mm-hmm. Or can we just be smart and just stop it? Because I don't think you're going to appraise. And I got to know is your buyer willing to do this? And you have to ask that. And if you're not agents, you have to ask these questions. I know we all would love a bigger commission and sell that house for over list price, but is it realistic? And then will your buyers that are buying them get the financing from you for it? And they won't.
No, in most cases, no, they won't. There very few times are there buyers that are willing to or have the ability. It's not even whether they're willing to or not. It's do they actually have that extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 sitting in their bank account?
Yeah.
You got to keep in mind if a house appraises for less than the sales price, not only do they have to pay what the difference is, but they have to pay what their original down payment was plus their closing costs. Okay, so if they originally were going to put, let's say, $50,000 into the property, now they might have to put $70,000. Okay, and that's a big chunk of money that a lot of people aren't willing to do or don't have.
And
the
they don't
ability
think
to
about
do.
that.
No,
They don't think about that part. There's like, oh, I got to pay an extra $5,000, but there's more than just the $5,000 to go into that.
Yeah.
Extra title insurance costs, doc stamps, it all adds up, like you said, and that's a good point. You're so smart. I don't know. That's why I like him. What can I say? But no, that is the biggest question I know we all get. And the other thing is in regards to the mortgage forbearance and all the millions of foreclosures that are going to happen. So yeah, so it's one of those things.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah, so what are you seeing with that? And I know what I've heard.
This is a big thing.
It is huge.
There's a lot of fear based around this as well.
Right.
Which seems to be a trend today, just fear-based everything. But
Imagine that.
let me just tell you this. So a forbearance obviously is when the mortgage lender allows the client to skip some payments. Yes. Okay. What everybody's conception or misconception is that, oh my God, when they go back to make these payments, they're going to owe all this money.
Right.
And that's simply not the case.
Okay.
There were some lenders that were trying to do that, but the government kind of stepped in, and I'm talking back, before this administration, right. and they said, no, you're not going to hit somebody that needs help with a $10,000 bill.
Extra.
So what they did was they moved what was owed onto the back end of the loan. Okay. So they go back to paying payments as usual once the forbearance is over.
Got it.
Okay. So most people have gotten back to work.
Right.
So honestly, a lot of these people that were having forbearances never were out of work. They were just offered it by their lenders.
Got it.
They said, hey, are you having a hardship? Are you having a tough time? Would you like to skip a few months payments? And people are like, I will. Count me in.
Exactly.
Right? So a lot of those forbearances that are on the records right now, the people never missed a beat. They were able to make their payments.
That's good to know, because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, I'm going to wait till this summer. It's going to be all these foreclosures like there was in 2009 when we all had all the foreclosures and the short sales. And what I've read is exactly that, is that they don't see it's coming. It was just an opportunity for someone to skip a couple months to get on their feet.
Well, do this. Look at your sphere, right? Look at your friends, your family, and see how many people you know that are under a forbearance now, and that are not working.
Right.
And I doubt there's very many. Right?
No, you're right.
I don't know of anybody that's actually still on a forbearance. I knew some people that did it.
Yeah.
But most of them have gotten back to making their payments.
Right.
All of them are working. Okay. And I'm not saying everybody's working. I know that we still got people that aren't out there working.
Yes.
But it's not the fear that everybody is making this out to be. There's no market crash. There's no forbearance.
Bubble coming.
And I will tell you this. So let's go back to 2008 again.
Okay.
So I love talking about this.
No, yeah.
So if you guys remember, in 2008, we had the biggest market crash ever in the history of real estate, right?
And we were part of it.
Yeah, we were a big time part of it. Well, what happened was the next few years after the market crashed, things could have been a lot worse. Okay. The reason why they weren't was because the banks all got together.
Right.
And they said, all right, guys, we cannot re-release all these foreclosed properties into the market at once.
At the same time, yes.
Okay. So they compared it to letting air out of a tire, right? Just a little,
Yep.
at a time, right?
Yep.
So here's 20 houses, here's 10 houses, right? So they're prepared for this to happen
Right.
because they know the detrimental effect of letting all these houses back in the market. So even if a bunch of these forbearances ended up going into foreclosure, it's not going to have a big impact on the market.
And that's one of the statistics that I read as well, is that it's going to be, again, that's if there is, and it's never going to be like this huge 2 million are released into the market in one day. It's going to be a slow release that you barely are probably even going to really know that
Right.
it's really a foreclosure or a short sale. It's going to be that small because, again, nobody wants to be back where we were in 2009, 2008. That is not pleasant.
No,
And where we're out now is good. We just need more houses. Sellers, please call me. I need to list. So, we just need more inventory. And I think what I also was reading too, I'm reading as well, is that because when the pandemic hit, a lot of us were very fearful to open our homes, have people come through. We didn't know what we were going to be doing. We couldn't work for a little while. Should we really be moving? And now the gates are just open. Everybody wants to live here because we are thriving. Florida is one of the states that has thrived, is thriving, and will continue to thrive. So here we are, folks. If you're in New York, California, Illinois, they always do things big in Texas. Come on over. So, here we are. We may have a lack of inventory, but boy, we got some great partners that are looking to help you find the perfect home and get you in the right direction with making sure that everything goes seamless and very, very smooth, especially if you are out of state. So you're a great pair of eyes and ears.
Yep.
You and your team are. So
Yep. And there's some great programs, low down payment. If you're willing to live out in the rural area, USDA product is amazing, 100% financing.
Oh, wow.
There's 97% conventional products with rates as low as the low threes.
VA.
We've got VA, which is 100%. There's a lot of options out there right now to buy. We're seeing a lot of clients that are buying homes for their kids to go to college.
Oh, yeah.
So
because here we are.
instead of having a kid in the dorm or renting an apartment, they're buying a house close to campus. The student will invite a few of their friends to stay there and basically pay the mortgage payment.
It is, and then it turns into an investment. Whatever may happen with the home after 4 years. Hopefully they graduate in 4 years. That's the goal. It turns into that whole starting your portfolio as well, which is huge. I mean, I'm big on short-term rentals. I'm huge with investments, buys, flips, holds. The market's great for any of that right now. It's just finding the right house and being ready to move.
Finding a house, for that matter.
Yay. So what did we see? Who's all I see? I see a few. Is there any questions to see? What's a simple explanation for capital gains tax? Do you know that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Lawrence, take it away.
Yeah, so that was one of the big things that came up recently is that the administration's gonna change capital gains taxes. Okay.
I heard that.
Yeah, so capital gains taxes is when you sell capital, and whatever the gain is, whatever the increase in what you bought it for versus what you sold it for, is generally taxable.
Yes.
Okay. However, they are not changing the homestead exemption portion of this. So basically, here's the rule: if you live in a house for 2 years, 2 out of 5 years, as long as you sell it before that 5-year period, whatever the gain is that you recognize on the sale of that house is not taxable up to $250,000 for an individual.
Yep, and
$500,000 for a couple. Okay.
Yep.
So if you're married, you buy a house, you live in it for a couple years, you move out, and within 3 years of that time that you move out, you sell it. You are not going to get taxed on anything on that.
Right.
So that's still, now if it's a second home or an investment, a second home that also has capital gains exemptions as well.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep, an investment property does not.
Right,
Okay?
right.
But what a lot of clients do is the 1031 exchange.
I was going to mention the 1031 exchange.
Okay,
That is
so
amazing product.
There's always ways to, that's the cool thing about real estate. It's a great tool to actually defer or avoid taxes.
Yes, and the 1031 exchange is super easy because your title company literally sets it all up for you. So you use the funds from one house to purchase another house, and it never really touches your account. It just kind of simultaneously floats in there from one title company to the next, or stays where it is and goes to the next. But it helps you with the gains and everything else, especially if you know you're buying a house for here and you're closing in 30 days. Just leave it there and funnel it around.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. Just funnel it around.
And we can help you with that.
Yes,
We can
yes.
help you with that.
And you're between your title company, your lender, real estate agent. If it's me, we all know about 1031 exchange, and it's a great tool to use. So I hope that answers your question, right. So I know, look at everybody's like, yes.
Dano.
So Dan and Maricela both know us. We have been together for years.
Double trouble.
And so we have a few people calling us Double Trouble because we are Double Trouble, full of great info, though. I'm going to tell you what.
Damn Skippy. Yep.
We are. And I know Dan's just jealous because he's not on the show with us.
He is.
Totally. Yep,
He's
sorry.
so wanting to be here.
Sorry, Dan. Well, we're in Winter Park. We're at Imperial. Anybody wants to join us? We're here for a little cocktail. So, but any other questions you guys have? I mean, this is what the show is for. This is what we're here for. And the market's crazy. The market's great. It's only going to continue to be great. But over the next couple of months, if you're looking to do, you heard what Lauren said, you better get going. So you better call me. You better call him. Let's get you going, answer your questions, and put you all in the right direction. Because whether you're looking to buy your first home, your second home, a second home as a second home, an investment property, we've got tons of opportunity that will help put you in the right direction. So don't be scared to call us. We're not going to hound you to buy or sell your house, even though I'd love you to.
Just go over information, see if it's the right time and a good fit, and run some numbers. I run numbers all day. That's what I do.
Loves numbers.
Let you know how much you'll qualify for. People always want to know, how much am I going to qualify for? I don't need to pull your credit to do that, guys. I can run the numbers, and I can give you a good ballpark of how much of a home you'll be able to afford.
Because so many people are like, well, I don't know how much I can afford, and I don't want someone to ding my credit. That's the first thing people think. They're going to ding my credit and hurt my credit score that I worked so hard for. Did you hear what he said? He can tell you what you can get approved for without dinging your credit if that's what you want. Because I know we all work so hard to establish your credit. And if you were a part of a divorce or a short sale or the crash, life happens. We get it. Don't be afraid. There are great programs. And Lawrence is so good about this as well, that if you do have a low credit score, he'll help you work to build it so that you're able to purchase that home. And you've done that with quite a few of my clients. So
you'll be surprised how quickly your scores can go up. You just got to get started somewhere. I see people all the time try to fix their own credit. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually make your credit go down to make it worse. So get with me. If it's something that you need some work on, I'll get you with a good credit repair specialist, a professional that knows what they're doing, does it for a living. And we see great results. We got people in 4 to 6 months with like 500 credit scores buying a house. So we get them up to above 640, and they get a great rate, low down payment, and they're in a house.
Woohoo! Woohoo! I don't know if Drew's around. I don't see him. So, well, again, we're at Imperial in downtown Winter Park. It is a fabulous new place. They've got live music all weekend, wine bar, beer, amazing menu. You've got to come check them out. We'll keep you guys posted as to what else takes place over the next 2 months. Here we go.
Fun ride.
Woohoo! So, but I'm so thankful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, again, Lawrence is with the mortgage firm. I'm your favorite local real estate agent over at Coldwell Banker, but you know how to find me on Instagram and Facebook or www.lisaford.com. Lawrence, give your plug. How can they find you?
www.theheisler.team. That's HEISLER team.com, or my cell phone, 407-448-3303.
Boy, you guys are in trouble now. You gave your cell phone out. So
Give me a call.
Just gonna say. So again, happy Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's Derby weekend, so if you have plans, stay safe. Have a good time. Can't think of anything else. Festival of Speed is this weekend out at the World Equestrian Center out there in Ocala. That's going on this weekend. And of course, my normal day of being at the barn with Ava. Yay! Awesome sauce. So happy Thursday. Thank you all for joining me on Why Not with Lisa. We'll see you next week. And we're going to talk more about real estate. And we're going to dive into some great short-term rental properties. One in particular, Azure Resort. And it is absolutely amazing. It's bringing basically the contemporary feel of owning a short-term rental right in our backyard right here in Davenport. So again, happy Thursday. Thank you, Lawrence, over at the mortgage firm. And I will see you all next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.